The debate over your privacy versus your security has been heating up ever since the government intensified its watch for terrorists operating within our borders. Now the case of one man who took a picture of the governor and ended up in jail is shining a light on another secret way the government may be keeping an eye on you. Jerry Willis here now with another report in our series, Watching You 24/7. I don't think most people have any idea that this is going on.
That's absolutely right. Well, since 9/11, there have been a lot of debate about privacy rights in the age of terrorism. Well, fusion centers are state-run domestic intelligence centers that have access to a lot of your personal data. Some feel they're central to the war on terrorism, but others are worried that they're gathering too much info on people who are not suspected of crimes.
I dropped the bike.
It was the morning of Connecticut Governor Jody Rell's inaugural parade.
Pulled out my camera and I just shoot Governor Rell about 23 shots.
Moments later, Ken Krayeske was stopped by Hartford police officers, handcuffed, arrested, and jailed.
I said, well, what did I do? And they said, you shouldn't have been making those threats.
Local police had been on the lookout for him after state police gave out a security bulletin with his photo on it. Officials wouldn't comment pending a civil lawsuit, but court documents reveal state police were alarmed by Krayeske's blog posts. Who's going to protest the inaugural ball with me? And no need to make nice.
Why do I have to be nice to a political figure simply because she won an election?
Police began digging for more information, mining public and commercial databases. They learned Krayeske had been a Green Party campaign director, had protested a gubernatorial debate, and had once been convicted for civil disobedience. He had no history of violence. Law professor Daniel Citron says police aren't supposed to gather information on citizens who aren't suspected of a crime.
If we're interested in someone because they're an advocate for a Green Party candidate, and we think they're suspicious because they want to get other people to protest someone's ideas, but not because we think there's a true threat to their lives, I think that's just troubling.
Today, law enforcement collects and shares more information than ever, and much of it goes on at state intelligence centers called fusion centers. Fusion centers were started after 9/11 to help federal, state, and local law enforcement connect the dots and stop a terrorist attack. The Department of Homeland Security says they are a critical tool in keeping the nation safe.
In a typical fusion center, an FBI agent might be sitting next to a state highway patrol officer. They don't merely share space, they share databases and techniques.
But what's going into those databases has critics worried. The ACLU says there's evidence that some fusion centers have targeted Muslim groups and peace activists for surveillance.
Collecting information about people that has no relevance to whether or not they're breaking the law.
We're in the center of the analysis element where we have...
The director of New Jersey's Fusion Center says law enforcement works hard to balance national security with individual privacy.
We in law enforcement, and certainly in fusion centers, are very attuned to the Bill of Rights. We are not in the business of investigating First Amendment or constitutionally protected rights.
But Ken Krayeske thinks police in his town crossed the line.
The police did not determine the difference between who was dangerous and who was merely expressing protected constitutionally protected viewpoints.
So how many of these fusion centers are there out there?
Well, John, there are 72 fusion centers, and look, while there's no strict federal oversight, there are guidelines in place that fusion centers are supposed to adhere to.
Right. So how concerned should we be about all of this, that there's fusion centers are out there gathering information on people who have not committed crimes?
Well, look, even if you're not a political activist, you do need to think about this, and it's always advisable to watch what you say and you do online. If you're on social networking sites, make sure to set those privacy settings. It's not just law enforcement you have to worry about today. Employers are also increasingly searching the web for job information on job candidates. So you don't know who's watching over your shoulder when you're on a social networking site.
Yeah, I tell you, we're being watched in ways that we never really realized before. Fascinating series, very illuminating too.
Thank you.
Jerry, thanks so much.